This week in Women in Sports, a Minnesota hooper from a famous family is making her own path in the world of sports. Maddyn Greenway is one to watch. Plus, the Gopher women's hockey team has made it to the NCAA tournament, who they're playing next. And 3 women on the Gopher swim team are headed to the NCAA tournament next week. One of them is making her debut on the national stage. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marielle Mohs, and here at WCCO, we are celebrating the highlights of female athletes in this new digital segment called Women in Sports. We'll share news stories with you every week right here as we do our part to give these athletes the recognition they deserve. The girls' basketball state tournament championship matchups will duke it out Saturday night. But before the tournament began, we highlighted a few teams that caught our attention. But first, let's pause and talk about Maddyn Greenway. Earlier this week during Providence Academy's quarterfinal game, Greenway hit a triple-double, scoring 29 points, dished out 12 assists, and grabbed 10 rebounds. Those numbers are so good, they actually broke a 10-year record. She is now the all-time career record holder for points in a state tournament. Greenway was also named the Minnesota High School Gatorade Player of the Year. Selection is based on 3 criteria components: athletic achievement, academic excellence, and exemplary character, including sportsmanship and participation in community activities. Ren Clayton sat down with her earlier this week.
Maddyn Greenway is one of the best girls basketball players Minnesota's ever seen. Because of her, Providence Academy has won 3 straight state titles.
You know, it really helps when our point guard is, one of the best kids in the country. That definitely doesn't hurt. And she's someone that refuses to lose.
You know the last name. Maddyn is the daughter of longtime Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway.
Obviously, he didn't coach me as much when I was younger, but once he started to do it, it was I realized the intensity that sports kind of came with, and I think he instilled that in me from the start. So
that competitiveness is plain to see as the Kentucky commit carves up and down the court, putting up gaudy numbers. Championships are the status quo by now. Even Greenway's soccer team took the title last season.
For basketball, it's the standard, but for soccer, we had been so close so many years, and to finally get it was biggest relief I felt in a while.
Some may bring up the high school class topic. Providence Academy is down in 2A, but they play the big schools and this year have passed every test, making a claim for the label of best team in the state.
We played Hopkins when they had everyone. We've played, Maple Grove's obviously a tremendous team. I think some people say well, they're a smaller class, but it's kind of who else do you want us to play?
Then there's the history at hand. Greenway is just a junior with already over 4,000 career points. She's on pace to set Minnesota's all-time scoring record.
5,060, what does that number mean to you?
I mean, obviously that's the goal. I think, I do think that, me and Tori are kind of on the road to that, obviously.
There is another. Crosby Ironton's Tori Orline is also a junior with an equal shot at the record. For years, the two have been on a collision course for who can break the record and be the last one standing.
For me, I think it's cool, what she's doing, the fact that we can both have a chance to break it in the end. Obviously, though, we are competitors in a sense, obviously 1 and 2 ranked in the state. So, whatever happens with points, I'll congratulate her, but in the end, obviously want to come out on top. So.
In Plymouth, Ren Clayton, WCCO Sports.
Can't wait to see Maddyn's career blossom from here. We began with Eastview High School, though, in Class 4A. This year, they made it to the state tournament for the first time in 6 years. I caught up with them as they prepared for the semifinals on how much this team overcame to get to this moment.
Struggled a lot our freshman year, even our sophomore year.
The seniors only won 8 games their freshman year, followed by another year riddled with injuries and setbacks. It was time for the Lightning to rebuild and refocus.
It took everybody on the team to buy in.
The buy-in fueled by captain and Winona State commit Marielle Mohs and captain Kendall Purcell. They ended the regular season with 23 wins.
One of our biggest mottos going into state and kind of into sections was love over fear. So kind of just remembering we're here for each other.
We don't care what the social media says or anything. We know what we're capable of, and we know what we can do as a team.
Atta girl, Lex!
Head coach Molly Casper led this program to their last state title in 2018, but this season feels particularly special.
No matter what happens, this is going to be one of my proudest coaching moments. No matter where we end up, just because of the growth and the rebuild.
And sticking with Class 4A, Chaska fell to Hopkins in the quarterfinals, but they surprised many by making it to the state tournament altogether. They won their first state championship in 2021, but haven't been back to the tourney since. Here's Ren Clayton again with a look at how they made it back to state.
It's really special and it's really cool because we didn't really think this could be something that we could achieve a few months ago.
Chaska went on a stretch in the middle of the season where they lost 7 of 10 games.
So I think it's good to go through a little bit of a slump at that end, and versus towards the end of the season. And we played really tough teams at the beginning before conference, kind of a gauntlet of a schedule.
Through the trials, the Hawks got back on track, but a mountain still loomed in the section playoffs. First, they beat Eden Prairie, the 5th-ranked team in Minnesota.
It was something that seemed very out of reach a while ago, but then especially after beating Chan, who's a big rival of ours, and then beating EP, we were like, we have one more game, we can do this, we got this.
They did, taking down defending champ and number 7 Minnetonka in the section final.
It was huge. No one really expected us to get this far, so just beating teams that I think overlooked us was a big thing for us.
Moving on to college hockey, the Gopher women's hockey team received the 4th overall seed in the NCAA tournament. This means they'll face Colgate Saturday afternoon at Ritter Arena. This will be Minnesota's 22nd overall appearance in the NCAA postseason. They're hoping to return to the Frozen Four after last appearing in the event in 2023. The Women's Frozen Four will be held on March 21st and 23rd right here at Ritter Arena. Meanwhile, Edina native and 5th-year forward Audrey Wethington has been named as one of 20 student athletes across collegiate winter sports selected to the inaugural Good Works Winter Team, All-State, and the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. She made the cut out of a pool of nearly 200 nominees nationwide. These student athletes represent 9 winter sports and 5 collegiate divisions, demonstrating the far-reaching impact of student athletes in their communities. Well, for the second time this season, Maya Hooten has been named Big Ten Events Specialist of the Week. The Big Ten made the announcement earlier this week. The Minnesota 5th-year senior and Woodbury native has taken home the award 13 times in her career. Hooten ranks 14th nationally on the vault and 11th on floor and is on pace for All-America honors in both events once again. She earned 11 total All-American honors in her career. The Gophers complete their regular season competition on Sunday against Long Island University, Iowa, and Centenary College. The Gophers softball team is currently in Oklahoma City for their first Big Ten games. They already played twice against Michigan State and now have 2 games against Penn State before returning home. Next week, they'll be facing Nebraska in Lincoln. Well, the Gopher swim team will be making a big splash at the NCAA Championships. Washington State University will be serving as host of the 2025 championships with the meet starting on Wednesday. 3 women punched their ticket to the tourney and plan to represent Minnesota proudly. I caught up with them before the big meet.
This means everything.
Junior Ava Yablonsky is making her NCAA debut. She'll be competing in the 100 and 200 back.
I'm just excited to be there and experience everything that I didn't even know I could accomplish.
Ava set a new school record in the 100 back during the Big Ten Championships this year. To get to this level, she says the biggest hurdle she overcame was getting out of her own head.
I think there was some doubts about myself, and I knew that I was better than that.
Ava will have the support of 2 of her teammates who have competed at the NCAA tournament before. Sophomore Katie McCarthy swam 2 personal records this season. The Edina native is proud to swim for her home state.
Being able to put the cap on and represent the M so well, it's just been so fun.
She looks up to her training partner, senior Elliott Kennedy.
Getting her to push me through practices and stuff has been really helpful.
They're both competing in the same events, the 500 freestyle and 1650 freestyle, also known as the mile.
She's such a fun person to race against that I'm just so happy to be able to experience my final season with her.
Elliott wraps up her time as a Gopher on a high note already, shattering her own personal best, finishing the mile event in 15 minutes and 54 seconds.
When I touched the wall, I couldn't believe it. I never thought that I would break 16 minutes, so it was really exciting to see all the hard work, not just in the past year, but the past 15 years that I've been swimming to finally pay off in that way.
Well, Mikaela Shiffrin making skiing history once again. The now 30-year-old broke yet another record with her 156th podium finish as she finished third in the slalom last weekend in Sweden. Shiffrin now has the most World Cup podiums of all time. She recently became the first downhill skier to reach 100 World Cup wins. This week was also her birthday, so we want to wish her a very happy birthday. NASCAR news, Katherine Legge became the first woman to race on the Cup Series in 7 years. The 44-year-old English driver made her debut last weekend at the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway in Arizona. Unfortunately, she was involved in a crash that ended her day early and finished 30th. But Legge is the 17th woman to compete at the NASCAR's top level and the first since Danica Patrick at the Daytona 500 in 2018. Well, in the WNBA, rapper Eminem has now joined Detroit's star-studded ownership group. That's according to the report from Sportico. It comes as the league reviews bids from cities as it prepares to expand to 16 teams. Other owners include former NBA players Grant Hill and Chris Webber, Lions quarterback Jared Goff, and General Motors CEO Mary Barra. If Detroit were to win this expansion bid, it would be the second stint there for the WNBA. From 1998 to 2009, the Detroit Shock called the city home, but the team left town to become the Tulsa Shock, and that franchise is now in Dallas, known as the Wings. Reports say more than 10 different ownership groups submitted bids for the WNBA expansion, and the Golden State Valkyries will make their debut this year as the 13th franchise. Toronto and Portland are set to join the league in 2026. Well, fans of the NBA G League team are in California, and they got a special surprise last weekend. They were introduced to a unique 1920s style of women's basketball by a touring team that originated in Iowa. Here's Esteban Reynoso from Stockton.
The Granny Basketball League making a stop in Stockton for the first time.
I'm definitely ready.
Wanting to suit up already, season ticket holders Tony and Stephanie Gladney.
Oh, that was just something nice and new. I wasn't expecting it, but to see it, I mean, you know, hey, more power to them. I enjoyed it.
It takes a lot of footwork to get something together.
Footwork off and on the court.
I love to watch people improve and finally get it. You know, I try to teach people the fundamentals.
Barbara Trammell, 80 years young, is the oldest player on her team, the Columbia Gold Diggers, as they took on the California Poppies. She's not only the team's go-to scorer, but also the coach and the Granny League creator.
There's about 650 women in the league. The oldest is 92. So you can play forever because you don't have to be fast. In fact, it's better to be slow.
The rules are a little bit different. Every player has to wear bloomers to keep up with the more gentle 1920 style of play. There's no running. Every basket is 3 points and
no contact, which is kind of iffy. They could have called a couple of fouls, but we told them not to because we didn't want to waste our time on free throws.
There's also a no showing flesh rule.
You're not supposed to show any flesh. And when you do, it's a technical foul.
Trammell hoping they can add another team in the 209 down the line.
Of course, recruiting is the big thing. So right now we only have 3 teams in California. If we get more teams, we can have bigger game days.
This was just one of their league games with the plan to hopefully play in the national championship game for the Granny League in July.
I love it. Proving basketball is a lifetime sport. Thanks for watching this week's Women in Sports. We'll be back with more great stories next week. I'm Marielle Mohs.